Taking the first step into anything new expands your comfort zone. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. This is my first podcast episode, and honestly, recording it felt a little uncomfortable, which makes it the perfect topic for today on talking about the myths surrounding your comfort zone. Hey, Ann Rusnak here, your host of the Sailing to Unstoppable Success podcast. I took podcasting courses, more than one. I researched microphones, studied launch strategies, filled pages with episode ideas, and never once hit record. For years, someday felt safer than today. Eventually, I realized waiting wasn't making it easier. How many times did you hear this advice? You need to step outside your comfort zone to get more out of life and to achieve your dreams and goals. When people talk about leaving their comfort zone, they make it sound like you need one giant leap into the unknown. Push your boundaries. Face your fears. Muster up the courage. Everything you want is outside the circle of comfort. Now listen to that language for a second. Face. Push. Muster. Every word sounds exhausting before you even begin. We hear this advice so often that we accept it as true and rarely stop and question it. The nonconformist in me kept thinking, there must be a better way than making growth feel miserable. Think about a ship sitting safely in a harbor. People love saying a ship wasn't designed to stay in the harbor. Fair enough. But the ship didn't magically appear in the middle of the ocean either. It leaves the harbor 1 mile at a time. The harbor expands into the open water. That's how growth works for most of us. Every meaningful thing I ever did started with a first step that felt awkward, uncertain, or uncomfortable. Writing a book, starting a business, recording this podcast. None of these things felt comfortable at first. But I didn't step outside my comfort zone. I expanded it. And that's the myth I want to challenge today. Because the moment we start talking about comfort zones, fear usually enters the conversation. And most people treat fear like a stop sign. I see it a little differently. Fear actually marks the edge. It shows you exactly where your comfort zone ends. And every time you take a small step forward, that edge moves. Your comfort zone expands. I once read a sentence that stopped me in my tracks. Your dreams and your fears are neighbors. I love that idea. I fell absolutely in love with it because it explains why growth feels so uncomfortable. The things we want most often sit right beside the things that make us nervous. That first conversation, the first offer, the first video, the first podcast episode, the first step. Fear shows up because you're approaching something meaningful. And that's often when your inner gremlin shows up too. And it starts with whispering questions. What if this doesn't work? What if people judge you? What if you fail? Not because you're moving in the wrong direction, but because you're leaving the known and stepping toward the unknown. And your inner gremlin's job is to protect you from venturing into unfamiliar territory. So instead of asking yourself how to step outside your comfort zone, what if you approach it as an adventure? What if you focus on expanding the boundary instead of leaving it? One small step, one new experience, one slightly uncomfortable action at a time, still within the safety of your zone of comfort. This reassures your inner gremlin everything will be all right. And soon it quiets down. Before long, what once felt scary starts feeling normal. And what once sat outside your comfort zone now lives inside it. And that's how we grow. That's how we sail beyond the harbor. And that's how we discover we're capable far more than we originally believed. Ann Rusnak here, and you just sailed through another episode of Sailing to Unstoppable Success. If you want to go even deeper, join me on Substack, where I share extra insights, behind-the-scenes thinking, and content made specifically for established women whose business quietly took over their life. You can find that at sailingtounstoppablesuccesscommunity.com. I'd love to see you there. And remember, you're born unstoppable, fabulous, unstoppulous. So subscribe if you didn't already, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay unstoppulous.